Do us a big favor, take a moment to subscribe to the United Nations of Horror right here on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to us. Thanks so much.
Shit just got real. Welcome to the party, pal!
The hour's approaching to give it your best, and you've got to reach your prime. That's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us a passage of time. We're gonna need a montage. Ooh, it takes a montage. Show a lot of things happening at once. Remind everyone of what's going on. And with every shot, show a little improvement. To show it all would take too long. That's called a montage. Girl, we want a montage. In anything, if you want to go from just a beginner to a pro, you need a montage. Even Rocky had a montage. Always fade out in a montage. If you fade out, it seems like more time has passed in a montage.
Get to the chopper!
Party pumping.
Welcome on, bienvenue, welcome to the United Nations of Horror. We're your host, Mark and Jason. Hey, Jason.
Guten Tag, Mark.
Guten Tag. We're going to try and do something on the next one for Christmas. In fact, we'll talk about it at the end, right? Maybe. But I'm going to have to look up some Christmas greetings from around. I mean, I know the Feliz Navidad and, you know.
Right.
Bon Noël, or is it Noël Bon? I can't even remember in French. Yeah, so look up a few for next time, right? So we're ready to go with that.
Yeah, we are in the Christmas season.
Yes.
It's crazy. I mean, time just flies by so quickly. Last episode, it's hard to believe that was Frankenstein. And, I've been waiting for that to come out for a long time. But I just wanted to mention at the top of the show that you and Sam did a great job on The Good, the Bad, and the Odd. I really enjoyed that episode.
Oh, you like that one? Yeah, we talked about it too. Yes, but I think the UNH one came out first. I was holding that back for a bit, not deliberately. It's just I tend to hold one back. So if we have a family get together, there's no break in service, as it were, I try not to do that. But yeah, so because Sam and I are family, it's Oh, I'm good. Thank you. That's very kind.
Oh, no, it was a fun listen. So definitely want to just recommend that to our listeners. So,
and I'm actually reading the book. Well, I'm audio booking the Frankenstein book at the minute. I'm about halfway through. I'm listening to a version with Derek Jacobi, the British actor Derek Jacobi, and quite enjoying it. So yeah, I'm getting on with that too. It reminds me. It's now allowed me to compare the book version of the creature with Del Toro's version, and Del Toro's one's not as murderous as the book one, actually. And he is quite murderous, but he's nowhere near as murderous as the book Frankenstein. But yeah, so be it, right?
Yeah, I remember the book version, as you say, being more murderous, a little more maybe cunning. But I mean, this is again, I haven't read the book like I talked about on that episode in like 20 years. So I need to follow your lead in that and read the book. But
yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm also actually talking of Christmassy things. I always try and watch a few versions of Christmas Carol, and I'm working through some of those as well and enjoying those. And I know once I've watched the films, I've then got an audio book of Tom Baker, the Fourth Doctor, right? Who's awesome.
Tom Baker, yeah.
Tom Baker has a version of A Christmas Carol, an unabridged version of Christmas Carol on Audible, so I am really looking forward to listening to that. I like to listen to that I like the week before Christmas, the few days leading up to Christmas. It's a It's a 4-hour book, so it's not very long, but it's really good because it's my favourite novella, I'd say. It's Christmas Carol. I just really love it.
It's classic,
so
man.
on form with that one. It's perfect. The dialogue just cracks along, and it's so
it's such a great book,
Then maybe we could talk about Christmas stuff next time a bit more because we're going to do something Christmas. But however,
little teaser.
However, today we are talking about the Blade Trilogy.
Yes,
Blade 1, 2, and Blade Trinity. Yes, your suggestion, one which I happily jumped on with you. In fact, you suggested, can we do Blade 1 and 2, maybe? And I was like, let's do 3. Let's do all 3.
And I'm glad you did.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's been so long since I saw Trinity.
I know how actually Blade is, but man, I'd forgotten exactly how actually it is. And this is an action zone.
Absolutely.
Again, we keep doing them. Maybe inadvertently, I don't know. But
yeah, maybe so. We've kind of had a lot of crossover here recently, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, we're not going to do our usual thing of scene by scene because this will be about a 3-hour recording. We're not going to do that. We will recap the story and then just talk about the bits we like. However, before we get into spoilers, what am I saying? I mean, even the third one's more than 20 years old now, right? But even so, we won't get into spoilers. But let's just give out bird's eye view of what we thought of the movies in turn and as a collection, right? Shall I start or would you like to start?
Please, after you.
Okay, as a group, I think they're a great set. I always felt that Blade Trinity was always a bit unloved compared to the others, and I've always kind of been a champion of it to the point that sometimes I say, no, Blade Trinity is my favourite, right? And I meant it. However, watching all these again, no, it is not the best one. However, it's not the dog that some people would have you believe. It's a very, very fun film too. However, the peak for me was Blade 2 out of the 3. Blade is an excellent action film. Really good, really exciting. It's got so much plot without it being exposition-y, right? There's a lot going on. And I really enjoyed it. And I watched Blade 2 straight after. And then I thought, wow, this is a guy that's watched the first one, really understands how the action's delivered in the first one, and built on it. He's not doing his own thing. He's deliberate. And I've read this out after I came to that conclusion. I looked into it. Yes, that's exactly what he did. He watched the first film over and over to get the vibe of the action and wanted to replicate it and extend it. And that's exactly what happens in this. And it's a they're both really exciting films. And then the third one goes way more goofy, and there were problems with the third one, which we'll talk about later, in terms of on-set problems, particularly Wesley Snipes. He was not happy how it was going on. However, watching the film, wouldn't really know that, or the hatred is transferred suitably onto the screen, you could put it that way, because it totally works within the context of the film. His actions towards some of the other people. Blade is just fed up with these amateurs, what he thinks, doing this stuff. However, there's a lot more fun in this. Parker Posey was excellent. Ryan Reynolds, I've always liked Ryan Reynolds, and this is the first time we see that really wisecracking Ryan Reynolds, in my opinion. I know he was in other films before this, like Van Wilder, but I think this is him almost auditioning for Deadpool, right?
Right, exactly.
That's kind of how it feels. And I'm glad to say that Wesley Snipes, who was in the Deadpool Wolverine film, has really kind things to say about Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, right?
I found that out researching this too, which I thought was nice.
which is awesome. And I really like the fact that Wesley Snipes, while he was obviously taking Blade seriously at that time, has a lot of fun with it in various things. We'll talk about that as we go. But yeah, I think this is a very, very solid three movies. The second one is the peak, but the first one's only a touch below it, in my opinion. And the third one, maybe, 1 out of 10 less compared to, say, the first one. But I just enjoyed it thoroughly, and there were some great ideas. Parker Posey and Ryan Reynolds, and I have to say, Jessica Biel as an action star was awesome too. I've rabbited on quite a bit now. Would you like to say? That's what I think about these.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I mean, there had been superhero movies previous to Blade, but I feel like this is really where you get good superhero movies, like particularly in Blade 1. I remember I was telling you off air this about, like, this is, I think, one of the first DVDs I ever bought, because I was not of age to see Blade 1 in the theater yet. You had to be 18. So I was 16 when this came out. And so I probably shouldn't have been watching this at the time, but I was able to get my hands on the DVD. And I just remember thinking, my God, this is like one of the most amazing things ever made. And I still feel that way to this day, particularly about Blade 1 and then 2 as well, which I was able to see the second one in the theater. But oh my gosh, I absolutely love the Blade trilogy. Like I say, particularly Blade 1 and 2. But, I think the third one has a lot of problems, which we will get into, but kind of knowing what was going on behind the scenes now, I kind of, I guess, have a bit more of an appreciation that they were able to get a movie out, given a lot of stuff.
And it being coherent as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, Ryan Reynolds, he ended up sort of auditioning for Deadpool with that, and I think and it's kind of cool all these years later that we eventually would get Blade back in Deadpool and Wolverine, which was a big surprise. When I went to see that at the theaters, I had no clue Blade was going to be in it, and being a Blade fanboy, I was so excited to see Wesley Snipes as Blade, because for me, Wesley Snipes is Blade. He embodies that so character.
Good. Yeah, and I feel a new Blade film was due to be out, and that for some reason they've put it on the shelf.
Yeah, it's been delayed,
and I don't know if and when it's coming out. It'd be kind of cool to see. However, yeah, it's never going to be Wesley Snipes, is it? It's a bit like Conan, right?
Exactly.
They're going to find a better Conan, aren't they? Right?
Yeah.
Right. And
I mean, they even had The Rock as Conan, and it's like, I mean, he's fine, but he's like you say, he's not Arnie. He's not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. No, I think it was Jason Momoa, right? I think
was it? Oh,
Conan. Yeah.
Maybe I'm
no, definitely not. Yeah. But yeah, it was. I didn't know this, but I found it interesting. I found out that in the comic books, Hannibal King, Ryan Reynolds' character, is a character in the comic books. I did not know that. I knew that Blade and Deacon Frost?
Deacon Frost, yes,
were characters. I also know that Blade is English. He's English. He's not American. In the comics, did you know that?
I did not realize that.
English, right?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I had no clue. I mean, I know he first appeared in Tomb of Dracula, but I did not realize that he was English. And I have read some of Tomb of Dracula, but not all of it.
I've read some. It's been a while.
Yeah, I've tried to find the omnibus of Tomb of Dracula, but it's very expensive and it's out of print now. Yeah, so unfortunately, I can't get a hold of it right now. But Tomb of Dracula is a great comic book series, and I mean, it's amazing that really the first major kind of movie hero spawned from that. When I think back to early superhero movies, there was a Captain America movie that I think was from the 70s, and there's a Spider-Man. Those were all so bad.
I gotta be honest, I think the first apart from Christopher Reeve's Superman, right? I think the first
that's a good one.
Comic book movies was probably Batman, and I actually really like The Punisher, Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher.
I
as
like
well.
that one a lot too.
And
Yeah.
I think that was the first Marvel 18 certificate. He did it before Blade. I think a good 9 years before Blade. But Blade, has been the second one. I don't think there's many other 18. But Deadpool's 18 as well, isn't it? I think, or
It
maybe
is.
15. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But Blade was I mean, and it really was. It was a kick-ass film. I wonder if it encouraged Marvel to think, you know what, maybe we need to move into movies, because this is, when did Iron Man come out? That was the first Marvel MCU one, wasn't it? Iron Man. I think that was
Yeah, it was
two
a bit
thousand three,
later. From what I understand,
2008. My mistake. Wow, even later than I thought.
yeah,
Right.
from what I kind of understand, Blade sort of saved Marvel as far as I guess just a company because they uh, licensed them out to New Line Cinema, and the film ended up being very very successful. I don't know how the profits worked and all that, but I mean
Yeah.
the first film made 131 million, and it was made for 45 million, so they definitely did a really good
They did
profit.
decent, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
honestly, it looks terrific. The
Oh yeah.
CGI in all three really isn't great, but it's okay. And I
Yeah.
watched it on a really big screen, and it didn't bother me. And honestly, I remembered before thinking it did, in the second one in particular, the blood stuff did bother me. But I think I just got over it. It did show. It did show in the second one. Some of
Yeah.
the blood effects, clearly CGI, and not real blood or anything like that.
I think
But they
it
were doing special
shows
things that you couldn't do it practically. There's no way some of the stuff they were
right.
doing practically.
Yeah.
It just
It
wouldn't have worked, right?
it kind of shows its age. I mean, there was a lot of kind of CG that looked this way, back in the
Oh
late
yeah,
90s.
rubbery. Yeah, Daredevil is one that where it's like, oh, some of the CG's like, oh, it looks so rubbery. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
it's I don't know. It's looking back on it now, maybe it does kind of look bad, but I kind of feel like, yeah, it's of its time. It's sort of a time capsule, but and even today, sometimes you get bad CGI like that. So I guess maybe it's nostalgia for me, but maybe I'm more forgiving than I would be, of a
yeah.
modern film with bad CGI. But a lot of the practical stuff looks great, like the vampire makeup and like
Oh
the
yeah, man.
the
And
pearl
the
creature.
fighting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, we need to take a minute to sort of state there's a bit of horror royalty in this, and movie royalty,
Yes,
really. Udo Kier, who passed recently.
indeed. Yeah.
Terrific to see him again in this. He is really remains very. He's always been striking.
Yes.
Remember how beautiful he is in Blood of Dracula, for example. Right? He was an iconic Dracula.
Oh, no
Um,
doubt.
and he's really good in the smallish part he's got in this, interacting with Stephen Dorff as Deacon. But yeah, got to mention him. He was terrific in
He
this.
he was, and yeah, it is a shame that he recently passed. But I had actually forgotten he was in this until
So
watching
did
this
I.
last night.
So
I
did
was like,
I. I was really
yeah,
happy to see him.
me
Actually,
too.
it
Yeah,
was so nice to see Udo. Right.
yeah,
So that was
yeah.
cool. I really
Just
like
such
the
a legend.
casting throughout. I have to say, I thought Stephen Dorff was good as Deacon. I think it was very effective. Should be more stuff, Stephen Dorff.
Oh,
Really.
absolutely. He's always awesome in everything I've
Yeah,
seen him in.
yeah, it's weird how his career isn't. He's not as prominent as some, but maybe he's working and he's happy. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
And I
not
also
sure
really
either.
like Whistler, Chris Christopherson as Whistler. Solid, growly man
Oh yeah,
presence.
yeah.
I even
Very,
like this.
very,
Sorry, go
very.
on.
I was just going to mention, so different from the kind of comic book take on Whistler and the animated take, because Blade is in the Spider-Man '90s cartoon as well, and just I mean, obviously Chris Christopherson, a very famous country singer here in the U.S. who
Yeah, an actor. Yeah,
recently
singer
passed
and
as
actor.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and kind of a legend. But I really think it works. Like I you know, not to say it wouldn't have been really good, I guess, without him, but I feel like he's just a perfect kind of mentor character to Blade. So
Yeah.
he adds a lot to the films, both one and two, and a little bit in three as well. Although we'll get to that.
Yeah, I also quite like the very brief snippet right at the beginning of Tracy Lords. I always like her and stuff because she's got a real talent for presence in serious things, but she's also quite a good comedic actress. She's in one of the great episodes of Married with Children, for example, as like
Yes.
the dentist receptionist who's obviously a gold digger. And she's she's great coming out. I really like her in a film called Cry Baby, John Waters film with Johnny Depp, in fact, and she plays this part of his gang, and she's fun in that. And it's not. It's a shame her part wasn't bigger, actually, because I
Yeah.
think she's a real presence in movies. But it was good to see her in it. She was good at the beginning, right at the beginning.
Yeah, you mentioned her at the beginning there, and what an opening it is to this
Oh
film,
wow!
Mark. I mean,
Yes,
she is a huge part in that. And I
yeah,
think this is actually like one of the best opening scenes like in all of cinema. I know that's a
yeah,
bold thing to say, but
yeah,
man, like the music, the fact that she leads him like down into this sort of rave slaughterhouse is like just so cool. And I mean,
yeah.
it defined a lot of like 90s vampire culture, you know.
It's never far from the zeitgeist, is it? The blood disco. It's
No.
mentioned a lot. I mean, Nadia in What We Do in the Shadows is obsessed with it. She wants to replicate it. She keeps going on and on and on, and that's very funny. It's very funny.
I love that show.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a great opening. It's up there with, say, the Watchmen opening, or some of the James Bonds are sort of epic openings.
Oh my gosh, they always have great openings, yeah.
Yeah, it's up there with that. But yeah, what a great opening! Great, and Blade just comes in and
Just
kills
slaughters,
people.
yeah.
Tonight, they awaken. A secret race hidden here among us. With a lust for power
We should be ruling the humans.
that knows no bounds.
The world belongs to us, not the humans.
They have no fear, but one.
There are worse things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Like me. There's a war going on out there. Blade, myself, we kill as many of them as we can find.
Part human, part immortal.
I know all about you. Daywalker.
He alone has the power of both worlds.
All our strengths, none of our weaknesses.
And when the world of the living is at an end, he alone can turn back the tide.
You're nothing to me but another dead vampire.
Wesley Snipes, Stephen Dorff,
He makes the weapons. I use them.
Blade.
It's
It's
awesome.
interesting the way that vampires die in this is very reminiscent of kind of Buffy.
Yeah, even going back a little earlier than that, the only thing I can think of this effect earlier than that is this little known Dracula series from the early 90s. It was made in Canada, and it's just like called Dracula the TV series. Very cheesy kind of it's made for children for sure. And
Yeah.
you know, it was definitely one of those things that I think continued to get me into like vampire films, because I think everybody who listens to this knows, you know, I love vampire films. And but that effect is pretty prominent in that. I'll have to post some clips on our Facebook just so everyone can see it, and I'll probably insert it here into the podcast. But you know, it's a cool effect for an early 90s TV show. And as you say, it kind of made its way into Buffy as well. So I love the way vampires die. They kind of like burn up when they get staked, you know, into like these bones. And it's just really, It's cool, and it looks even better in Blade 2.
Yes, yeah, it's a good look, and he keeps it throughout all three, really, doesn't he? He's got that look. But
Yes.
yeah, so this film, well, we won't get into the story too much, but essentially, the older there's pure bloods, which are tends to be the older, cliquey, aristocratic vampires, and then there's people that have been turned, who the pure bloods look down on, but are kind of the turn ones seem much more energetic and willing to sort of get into it, whereas the
Yeah.
purebloods try and stay aloof. And that's kind of having said that, they rely on Deacon Frost, who is a turned vampire, to kind of do the shitty jobs, right? Like tackle Blade and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the story, but in the end, Deacon Frost wants to be in charge, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a almost mafia political story going on in the background.
Yeah, it's got a crime vibe. Yeah, but Blade is in the middle of all this, killing vampires left, right, and centre with Whistler's help. The film does open. We see how Blade is born. Right, his mother is built by a vampire, but she's heavily pregnant, and she births Blade as a baby. Who knows about this? So he's got the urge. He's got some of the vampire things, but he doesn't suffer in the same way. He can suppress it, and he can daywalk. He can walk around in daylight.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, the main things that he does talk about at the beginning, he goes, "You've read about vampire." He says something like, "You read about vampires. Crosses and holy water don't do shit."
Right.
So it's silver and staking and sunlight, right? That's
I think
his made.
I think if they're shot like directly in the head, they mention, or in the heart, they'll die like with a gun with a silver bullet. If I'm not mistaken,
silver.
Yeah, it has to be silver. Yeah,
and his sword is silver. I was thinking about this. It was like, because in the comics, he's not a samurai type. He does fight with stakes, I think, but he's not a samurai. I was wondering. It made me think of Captain Kronos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that, Mark. But hey, I mean, we reference Captain Kronos a lot in this show, right?
Why wouldn't we?
Right? But exactly. I mean, it's such an awesome film, and it is kind of amazing to how much goes back to that with horror, but all like actiony kind of horror in general, And
I think Van Helsing was trying to plug into that,
Oh
movie.
yeah, no doubt.
But it didn't really succeed. Whereas Blade totally succeeds as a film, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So but we do find out there's more to this than just taking over from the purebloods. There's some plans around reviving a blood god. And we find out that they need Blade's blood, perhaps, to do this.
So it's
there
like
is
a
that
ceremony
going on. Yeah, a special ceremony. Whistler also, you know what? I got some of the events in this film mixed up with the second film. Whistler appears to die in this film. Now, I remembered that from the second. I thought that was in the second film, so I was like, "Oh, it's in this one." But then, it all precipitates out of that. Because I was watching it thinking, I'm sure Whistler's in the second one.
Yeah, I remember thinking going into the second one, because you'd seen him in the trailer, and I'm thinking, okay, how in the hell can they bring Whistler back? Like there's no way, but they managed to do it in the second one. So
they've got away.
Indeed, and I was fine with it. Like I was like, okay. I mean, I was glad to have Christopherson back, for another Blade film.
Yeah, me too. I mean, when I was watching this, I was thinking, you know what? This is such a great action film. I was having trouble thinking of a film that was so action-packed, right? Because we had things like Arnie films and Stallone films and Bruce Willis, Die Hard and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And apart from, I guess, Jean-Claude Van Damme, maybe Dolph Lundgren, and Seagal, perhaps, Steven Seagal, the martial arts bits weren't that pronounced in the mainstream action movies, I don't think. Whereas they were in the sort of more exploitation end of cinema, right? With Van. But this one, while I was watching, I was thinking, Snipes feels like he's almost directly funneling Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon.
Oh yeah.
That's the kind of choreography I was feeling.
I think, and you have to remember too, this is like pre like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and because after Crouching Tiger, wire work became very prevalent in a lot of movies, a lot of action movies specifically. But Wesley Snipes was obviously really in tune with Chambara, like samurai cinema, I believe, and probably a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
was a
other
lot of
like
samurai cinema, and kung fu cinema.
Wuzhai, yeah, kung
Yeah,
fu, Wuzhai, all that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he really he brings that to the table, and I mean, obviously did a lot of extensive training for this, and I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and he looks like he knows exactly what he's doing. It's
yes,
the editing is fast, but not in a way that disguises the abilities of the fighters.
right,
Right, so
exactly,
it
yeah.
complements the abilities of the fighters. We're just getting different angles of the same moves. But Wesley Snipes looks awesome in this. He
Oh, it's
really
so
does.
good. Yeah, this film is what makes Wesley Snipes into an action star. I mean, he had done other really
It's
good
done
stuff, but
that Passenger 57, right? And he was the bad guy in Demolition Man, which is also an awesome
oh, that's
film.
a great film. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one
And
is when you think of
New
Wesley
Jack
Snipes.
City, of
Someone
course.
says, "Tell me something Wesley Snipes has done." Most people are going to say Blade.
Oh
I would
yeah.
imagine, right?
Yeah,
Who
up
knows?
until this, I would have thought like, okay, yeah, like New Jack City and Demolition Man, as you say, like that would have come to mind. But now, like after this, yeah, I think everyone's like, yep, Wesley Snipes is Blade, and they even made reference to that in Wolverine and Deadpool when he does the cameo. He's like, there can be only
Yeah,
one Blade or something like that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't remember
yeah.
the exact line, but it's so cool,
It is awesome.
And
It
Wesley
is
Snipes,
awesome.
he exudes just like
Cool,
what a
cool.
cool action hero should be. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
fanboying out over here,
yeah. He looks really cool, and he's got the cool tattoos around the back of his neck and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, he looked great. He looked really good, and the fights were really good, and the action sequences were. It was all kind of awesome, and it made me think. Also, has this film been influential? Because I was thinking, this looks like it's a precursor to John Wick. You know,
Oh, it has to
and then
be.
it's like,
Has to
and
be.
that strain of action cinema, and I wonder even it came out the year before The Matrix, right? And
It did.
wow,
Yeah.
does his long leather coats look like what they came out? And Morpheus with the sunglasses, right?
Oh yeah, I think it
Surely there was a nod in the
had to
Blade
be.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, had to be.
right.
And I
And
mean,
the kung fu. Yeah,
I mean, it was definitely a trendsetter in high school. I was wearing the trench coat and into college because of Blade. In fact, I remember I remember walking into a class one time and someone asked me. They said, "Are you a goth?" And I laughed and I said, "Oh no, I really like the Blade films and the Matrix films and stuff like that." So I mean, these films had a profound influence on a lot of people in that era, myself included. But yeah, Mark, I really do think it had an influence on the Matrix,
yeah,
like the action choreography and everything. I don't know who was the action choreographer in this, but I know Yun Wo Ping was action choreographer in the Matrix. And then, of course, the second Blade film, I do know that Donnie Yen, who also is a
yeah.
star in the film, did the fight choreography, which steps it up even more. Like the action is great in the first film, right? But oh my gosh, man! And the second film, it is on another level, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll move on to the second film shortly. Actually, was there
Yes,
any
yes.
other standout scenes in this one you want to sort of mention or talk about?
Oh wow.
So yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to think about it, I've got one. I've got one to
Yeah,
start
go
us
for it.
off.
Go
Right?
for it.
I really like the scene where, and it was kind of goofy that basically they slapped on a load of sun cream and then they could walk. Deacon Frost could walk around in daylight, right?
Yeah,
But
I
there's
thought
one
so
scene
too.
where he basically takes Udo Kier up to the out into the sunrise and
On the beach, yeah.
pulls out his his canine teeth, his
Yeah.
vampire
Oh,
teeth, with a pliers just before the sun comes up, and then we see him go to ash while Deacon Frost smiles on, and then he goes back to the pure bloods and just throws the teeth on the table, doesn't he?
he does. Oh man.
Tells them what his plans are, or
I love that.
the implication is
Yeah.
he's the boss now, right? It's the boss. Love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
scene. What about you? Any other ones you wanna?
Oh
Anything
man.
else you wanna? I know I'm putting you
I
on the
love
spot.
them all, but another kind of scene I always think about is the when he goes into sort of the Yakuza club with the the great, really distinctive music playing, which I actually was finally able to find a copy of that song, actually looking for this film, which is actually done by a group called Bangwa Cherry and DJ June, and the song is called Chin Chin, for anyone wondering. I looked it up last night after watching this first one. I was like, I wonder if I can find a copy of this, because it's not on the soundtrack. But anyway, I love that scene, how Blade goes into it, trailing the cop. Then it goes into the underground scene with the fridge, where the archives are, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, we get that goes right into the subway scene. All those three scenes, unbelievable.
They just roll in, don't they?
Yeah, just really cool. Just action back to back to back. And then I guess now it probably doesn't look like crazy, but this, like, special effects like this were not often done at the time. So you see, like, Blade jump in front of the subway, and then the other vampires try to jump, and I think one of them makes it, but then the others get, like, hit. And I mean, at the time, like, that was crazy looking. And then he takes his face, he smashes against the subway
it's just scraping his face, as it's going,
and that, at the time, man, oh my God, that was brutal,
It was.
It looks a little, maybe nowadays, not as brutal as it did back in 98, but it still holds up pretty good for me anyway. What did you think?
There's one character in this, Quinn, isn't it?
Quinn,
that's constantly getting damaged by Blade, and it's kind of comedy. It's almost comedy levels of damage. So there is a bit of comedy in this.
There is
threads like that. One thing about this film, and honestly, I didn't watch it that long ago, and I'm already forgetting this element, was the presence of the lady who was the hematologist, Karen. I totally forgot she was in this film.
I like her a lot in this.
Yeah, she's good in it, but I'm already kind of forgetting she was in it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
the Wesley Snipes overwhelms. That's what it is.
He does. I mean, she's sort of. I think she's sort of us. She's sort of the audience, like our gateway into the vampire world, right?
Yeah, indeed. They do it with, like, Highlander, right, and things like that.
Yes, that's a good example.
Or even like Terminator, Sarah Connor learning about what the hell's going on. It's that kind of vibe, isn't it?
Indeed,
so she's that kind of character. But she's a good actress in this. It's just that character is kind of in the background compared to your Whistlers and your Blades and your Deacon Frost and even Quinn, right? So it's kind of...
She is. I think she's kind of in there the right amount. I would have liked to have seen her again, honestly. I don't know, what the reasoning was with not bringing her back. Maybe they just felt like, she was only needed sort of for the first one. But it is interesting because of her sort of medical background. She tries to sort of start developing a cure.
Blade says it himself, right?
Right.
Maybe she could help us and all this. This one, I mean, we've already talked about. Whistler appears to die. Basically, he's been bitten and he doesn't want to live, so Blade just leaves him a gun at his request.
What a
scene.
And
walks away, and you hear gunshots, so you assume he's dead, but we never see it, right? And that's how they get around it in the next film. Right?
Exactly.
I actually see him die.
Exactly. And that scene was so impactful, though. Particularly when I was younger. I mean, I've seen it a lot now. So, it didn't affect me as much on this rewatch, but I can remember in the past, getting a little misty-eyed from it. I thought that kind of father-son dynamic, even though it's sort of a little, like, messed up with them, I guess you'd say. Like, it's a weird relationship, but I think it's very well done, and it's impactful, is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. It was a real blast at the end of the 90s.
Yeah.
Because it was dark, but not too dark.
Perfect amount.
So it hit the tone. Weirdly, right, the first choice for Whistler on this film was Patrick McGoohan, the man who famous for The Prisoner, right?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because the director was a fan of The Prisoner. I guess McGoohan just turned it down. But I think Chris Christopher's really good. But they could have had an English whistler if it's Patrick McGowan. Well, he's Irish, but his accent is English.
Yeah, I think that would have worked too. It's just now, I guess, looking at it through 20 years later, it's like, man, I can only see Christopherson as Whistler. But yeah, it would have been interesting to have had him playing as well.
Yeah, so tip-top film. Well, we'll rate them all together at the end, shall we?
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to Blade. So Blade came out in 1998. Blade 2 came out 2002.
So exciting. Blade 2.
This time directed by Guillermo del Toro. A fairly early film in his career, right?
Yeah, pretty early.
But it got on everyone's radar. In fact, I'm pretty sure when this film came out, Del Toro was a known quantity. It was talked about like with some sort of not reverence, but certain. Yeah, this is something to look forward to because of his earlier non-English films. I think before this, this is off the top of my head. Things like Kronos,
right,
and stuff like that. Was Pan's Labyrinth before this? I can't remember. But yeah, so it wasn't like early, but it was early, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This one was written by David Goyer, who actually then went on to write and direct Blade Trinity as well, right?
David Goyer, he's a very talented writer. I mean, he's also written, I was about to say it, now I'm blanking, but he did Van Helsing later on. He's done a number of like comic book kind of movies, right?
Okay, well, Van Helsing's definitely that vibe, isn't it? Yeah.
He later wrote the Dark Knight trilogy as well. That's the big one that I think of with David Goyer. But a very talented writer as a director. Well, we'll get into that in Blade 3.
We'll get into that. Yes. Can't really fault the direction. And it struck me as I was watching it, like, wow, the way they're fighting is really similar to the first film, which surprised me because often the sort of trilogy, a set of action movies, if they have different directors, the writing styles can vary wildly. But no, it was spot on. And then I went on to read afterwards that he had paid really close attention to the first film and wanted to watch it over and over to replicate that sort of fighting style. And indeed, we see that fighting style, but with a slightly better eye. There's sort of more artistry in the edit, I'd say.
Definitely.
Though I still think Blade is really well made.
I do too.
But it's slightly better. There's a step up here, right?
I just felt like it was bigger and better as far as the action went. And I mean, I love all the action in the first one, but this one, like I say, it steps it up a notch, and just it's very memorable. All these scenes, all the action scenes, and just the scenes in general. I feel like they work. And I mean, Del Toro, man, he's just one of the best. I mean, we just talked about Frankenstein, which is kind of, I think, how we got on Blade, right? Like covering Blade. And I really wanted to rewatch this one after watching Frankenstein. And you see a lot of that kind of artistry, as you say, in this, like the look of the sets, the look of the fights. I don't know, man. Del Toro he has an amazing eye for detail.
Yeah, there was a couple of scenes where we would only get one shot of a certain place, and you think, oh my God, they put in all this effort for that one shot, for that amazing looking set. And it's quite impactful.
Yeah.
If you're watching out for it, certainly.
All very distinct, and most of, I don't know if it was actually filmed in Prague, but I know it takes place. Like I know, for example, the church fight sequence between Blade and Nomak was filmed in LA, but I I think probably a lot of the outdoor stuff was probably filmed in the Czech Republic.
Yeah. The other thing that always impacts me about this film, always liked about this film, was the casting. Now we've got
Wesley
Wesley Snipes and Chris Christopherson comes back as Whistler, but we've also got Luke Goss is really good as Nomak.
Oh, he's amazing, man.
Luke Goss, you may not know this, but Luke Goss was actually like a pop star in the 80s in a band called Bros. Him and his brother were like
Really?
It wasn't quite a boy band because there was only two of them, but they were kind of famous in Britain for this. However, Luke Goss has gone on to be a pretty good action star, right?
Oh yeah.
Often in sort of set, like for example, Jason Statham did the first Death Race redo or new version of it, but then Luke Goss took over from the series. They're really good, solid set of action films. And he's very good. He's very good in it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he like what is it? Not Hitman. I think it's Interview with the Hitman. He's in.
Oh, okay.
That's really good. Man, he's in a bunch of different stuff. I really like him. Yeah.
He worked. He's also in Hellboy 2. He's one of the bad guys in Hellboy 2.
Yeah, he plays Xerxes, right?
I can't remember, but I know he's in it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Xerxes. He's really good in that too. Hellboy, another Del Toro film that I really like, and I'm sure we'll cover that at some point here on UNH Action Zone.
Yeah. So we also get Ron Perlman, who's always great.
Great. So good.
He was in Pacific Rim, right? And he was in Kronos. Kronos is a great film.
Oh yeah, one of Del Toro's best.
Yeah, he's in that. And I've always liked Ron Perlman. I just think he's a very effective, charismatic kind of actor. And interesting, Donnie Yen, who you mentioned, is in it.
Yeah, he's not in it much.
A speaking part, but he's Donnie Yen. When he was very young, it's kind of cool to see Donnie Yen.
I love Donnie Yen. To mention, he's really, particularly in, as far as Hong Kong cinema fans go, he's royalty. He's in Once Upon a Time in China trilogy. Of course, later on,
Ip Man, right?
Yes,
Ip Man's fantastic.
Yeah.
Also in Star Wars, isn't he? He was in one of the. Was it the second?
Yeah, I can't remember which one he is in them though. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of cool in that. Was it Last Jedi? Maybe I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, sounds right.
We also get weirdly. It always freaks me out. This one, Cat from Red Dwarf, John Jules, who plays the cat in Red Dwarf in the British comedy series Red Dwarf, who's awesome as Cat. He doesn't have much of a speaking part, but he's one of what are called the Blood Pack. We'll get into this in a minute. I have to say, I thought the casting was really good. Some of the actors don't know from anything else, but I thought they were very effective. I really liked all the members of the Blood Pack, actually. I thought they were kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. All very distinctive looks,
Yeah. And then we also get a very young Norman Reedus.
Very young. I mean, he looks like a kid in this, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does. He's from, was it Boondock Saints? I think he kind of came up through that. Oh, hold on, that might have been made. No, I'm pretty sure that was a 90s film. He looks young in that too. Boondock Saints, 1999. So not that, only a few years before this.
Yeah. He, of course, Walking Dead fame now, but he had been in stuff previously, for sure.
So he plays a character called Scud, who is the replacement for Whistler, while Blade's been looking for Whistler.
Indeed, yeah.
And Whistler's been missing for 2 years. He didn't die. Presumably, someone stopped him shooting himself and pretended to fire the shot, and then he's been kept in blood, and he said tortured, beaten right to the edge, and then left to heal again because he's a vampire, right?
I mean, I've even wondered, did he shoot himself? But maybe he didn't.
They don't explain it.
They don't. But maybe the bullet, missed, or maybe it didn't.
They grabbed him just before he shot himself. Fired the gun anyway. So because Blade wasn't there to see, right?
Or he shot himself and he was already turned. So maybe the bullet didn't, didn't pierce like a vital organ, so he didn't, turn to dust. But he instead became a vampire, but we don't know. I've speculated on this for many years, and of course, up until the release, like I said, I think a lot of people were speculating, how how are they going to bring Whistler back? I know that's conversations that I had with friends at the time. Like, okay, how are they going to do this? And it was Blade 2 was a big event for a lot of people.
They skip over it really.
They do, yeah.
I mean, we see Blade rescue him and then cure him, and then that's the end of that conversation. And
Indeed.
then there's a little tension between Whistler and Scud because Whistler's, Scud's acting like the big shot, and Whistler's like, I've been killing vampires before you were born, boy.
I built this operation.
Yeah. Welcome to the operation. He does, Scud, unfortunately. Welcome to the operation. It's like, don't say that about the guy that built it.
Yeah, exactly.
But he is capable, and he does, he's really good at some of the stuff he builds, right? So there is that.
Yeah.
Now, what we find is there's a character called, Nomak?
Nomak, yes.
Who appears to be an evolution of a vampire into a form called a Reaper. And while he's intelligent, he turns other vampires into these Reapers who do suck blood, but they're more animalistic. They're a bit like the creatures in, say, the remake of I Am Legend or something, right? They're kind of...
Yeah, and the strain comes to mind,
the strain.
Which Del Toro, of course, was it the first episode he directed, I think? So, that was definitely something I was like, okay, he had been thinking about this kind of, vampire, even going back then. It's a cool kind of mutation, right?
Yes, really cool. And it looks all right. It doesn't look shonky, does it? I'm pretty sure they use practical in a few places.
I think so.
When someone isn't moving, they're still. It looks like it's a practical effect, but then it's sometimes you could see it's CG, right?
Yeah, when
it's moving. Right?
The behind the scenes stuff, you can see that like the bite is a practical effect, but then to me it looks like they sort of insert the tongue and all the tentacle things CG, and but it's kind of noticeable, but I think it holds up better than some of the CG in Blade 1.
Right. They don't mention it much, but there seems to be a new vampire overlord called Damascenus.
Ah, yes.
And essentially, we find out the vampire's been training up a group of kind of vampire commandos called the Blood Pack, was it? The Blood Pack.
The Blood Pack.
Specifically to hunt Blade. However... they turn up and signal they want to talk with Blade, and he allows it. And essentially, they say, "There's this thing that's hunting us both, and we've been asked to strike a truce to you." And they act kind of almost like medieval in that they bow with a scroll and things like that. And he takes it and reads it. They're kind of paying sort of tribute to him, and they ask. Basically, the suggestion is you team up with the Blood Pack so they could go hunt this other thing. And it made me laugh that, like, once they disappeared, and Whistler's like, "We're going to team up with them?" Blade's like, "Yep." And he goes, "What do you think?" He goes, "They're going to fuck us over the first chance they get."
I love that line.
Yeah. So I think right. It's like, there's about 7 or 8 of these Blood Pack. There's a redhead girl who is like the girlfriend of this massive, like, berserker guy that doesn't really talk. He's got a hammer. Who's a vampire though? It's a vampire.
Looks like he could be out of a heavy metal band.
Yeah, indeed. That girl was in the original script. She was the sister of Tracy Lord's character in the first film, but it didn't really matter, and they didn't. They dropped any lines for that.
Yeah,
but there's a few others. There's like an Irish vampire. There's Danny John Jules. There's basically the daughter of the head of the vampires, who's Nissa. She's very striking and does the part well. Not many lines, but she does the part well. And Blade kind of gets attached to her, doesn't he?
He does.
In an interesting way that's never really talked about.
A little bit of a love connection there.
Yeah, and the one that makes me laugh was Ron Perlman's character, Dieter, who...
He's great.
Antagonizes Blade all the way through, and Blade's just not taking any of it. And funnily, Blade overcomes him and just smashes something into the back of his skull. And it's an explosive with silver. And he says, "You fuck with me, I'm going to just set it off."
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Blade's like, keep pushing.
So Blade's like, all right, where's it going to turn up? And they talk about, and so we get a reprise of a vampire nightclub. No sprinklers of blood though in this one.
No, I think it's
just
like they almost kind of make it like, what is it called? Like the oh, I'm blanking on the name, but it's like a torture kind of club. Like you see one guy getting
S&M,
like his
S&M club.
S&M, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
like his one guy working on his spine. I was like,
yeah, there was some grim stuff going on. They basically opened up the skin and they almost like doing stuff under the skin. Like it's a bit like you might see a tattoo guy in a club, right?
Like body modification
but
kind of
way
stuff.
more worse than that.
Yeah, vampire body modification.
Yeah, so here the Reapers attack, and at this point they start realizing, well, some of the stuff is not working on them. Silver doesn't work on them, right?
Yeah, they're immune.
Stuff like that. And what they figure out is the only thing that seems to work is light. And they have got are equipped with guns that if they open a certain slot will project UV light. But obviously the vampires have to be very careful with that because it kills them too.
Right.
But they have got a way of sort of fighting these things off, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Blade does have a massive fight with Nomad, but manages to sort of just resist him, really. Nomad runs away once the light.
That church fight is so epic. I mean, really cool. I think that's where you see the most of the Donnie Yen influence in this film is that fight,
Yeah, it's really good. It's really well choreographed. We do see one of the blood pack get bitten and start to turn, but old Blade just blows a hole through the wall with a shotgun, I think, and so light comes in and kills it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Well, we won't go for it plot wise, but essentially, the head of the vampires is informed and kind of is concerned about it. They want to fight back, but we eventually find out that Nomak is actually the son, who was experimented on by his father to create a better breed of vampire, one that could resist some of the things that kill it. And I think, does he even mention wanting to get to the point you can resist daylight?
He does, yeah. He's really obsessed with genetics, with making better vampires, like through his genes. And
so we find out this is basically Shakespearean, right? We got a father that's done bad things to his son, and a daughter that finds out that her brother she didn't even know about has been experimented on by her father, and so there's all those elements. We also find out at one point Scud is a familiar. Right?
Oh yes.
Which is a turn, and we find out at that point when Dieter crosses Blade, and Blade decides he's just going to blow him up. It doesn't work because Scud has sort of somehow stopped it working properly.
At least he thinks he has.
But we find out Blade knew, or kind of suspected or something, but swapped it.
I love that. He's like, "What do you think about that, B?" And he's like, "What does he say?" He's just like, "1, I've been on to you all along."
and 2, it's not a dud.
Yeah,
right?
It's not a dud. That's it. And he's like, "Oh,
and
great."
Beeping,
yeah, I think he says something like, "Oh, great," and then he blows him up.
Blows him up.
His guts go flying everywhere. Yeah, oh man.
Yeah.
He does a great job of being kind of a hateable character. Like, I think everyone's just like, man, he's such a little shit,
Yeah.
And then when
Whistler's glad, right?
Whistler's glad. Yeah, definitely.
So the head of the vampires, basically we find out he wants Blade's blood because it'll help him complete some line of research, because Blade is a daywalker, right? He thinks his blood will help solve the thing of making vampires immune to not being killed by daylight.
Right.
And there's a massive fight where Blade really gets damaged, but he manages, even though some of the blood pack have turned against him, right, and are shooting at him and stuff like that. Though Nissa never go. I think is there a point where Blade actually rescues Nissa or saves her, and so she starts to see Blade as honourable?
Oh yeah, earlier in the sewer scene, because they go down in the sewers.
That's right. I forgot
trying to find Nomak. Yeah,
because they're walking through water, they don't realise the Reapers are underwater waiting for them.
Yeah, there's all those skulls and everything under the water. It's really it's well done. As we said,
it's getting
the
onto
artistry.
a little bit of horror, right? A little bit of horror.
Yeah. There's definitely more horror in, I feel like, the second one than there was the first one.
Yes. But Blade's in a bad way. But we do see that the head of the vampires has a blood pool where he goes and sort of he bathes himself to revive himself or keep himself strong. But Blade falls into that, which means he's full power again. Basically.
Oh yeah, it's pretty great.
Then there's a final fight, and he manages. I should have mentioned Riddler's done some research into that, or they do some research with the Reapers and realised you can't easily pierce their hearts because they're like armored. They're like got a shell around them, except the side. They're vulnerable at the side rather than the front.
Their only weak point.
Yeah,
which I know was cool.
Which Blade manages to use. Well, in fact, Nomak even forces the blade in himself, doesn't he?
In the end, he does, yeah. Because Blade's sword is it in the fight it gets broken, I think, by Nomak?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. But he's using the broken end.
Yeah, he uses the broken end, which I thought was also really cool.
Yeah. Nyssa, who is dying now, doesn't she get bitten by her brother? I can't remember. She gets bitten by her brother, right?
Yeah, she kind of willingly accepts her, I guess, her death.
Well, she's turning and she doesn't want the new strain of vampire to come in or something like that.
Yeah.
So she asks Blade to take her up to see sunlight for one time. So he does take her up. He's holding her. There's almost a romantic thing there. Or certainly
a little bit. Yeah.
Respect between two. And she disintegrates in his arms.
Kind of sad.
Yeah.
And of course,
there's a weird scene in London. There's a really weird scene in London. Well, a vampire we see at the beginning who basically Blade uses as a snitch. He tells Blade what he wants before Blade kills him. Isn't he going to stick his face in a motorcycle wheel or something like that?
Oh, that's at the beginning. At the end, the guy...
Right at the beginning. And Blade says as he leaves him, okay, walks away. Once he goes, okay, catch you later.
Catch you later, yeah. And then I like it. He's going into like I guess it's not like
British. It's a strip club.
It is a strip club. Okay,
a booth where a woman's usually behind glass. Blade's just standing there and just
waiting
I'd
for
forgotten you or something like that.
Oh, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, really like this. I thought the real cast was really solid. It was all put together really well. I liked. It was it was a mission film, right? Blade working with vampires and getting Whistler back, but he couldn't really trust them completely. I think he always trusted Nyssa, or he came to trust Nyssa, but he didn't trust any of the others. And some of them were shitheels and did turn as soon as they could. But he always knew about Dieter. Dieter made it obvious. He was he was going to try and kill Blade at some point.
And in the end, Nomak gets him. So
yeah. Also, Dottoro says, I watched it and I wanted to get a comic book and Japanese animation sort of feel, which he does, while staying true to the spirit of the original, which is really interesting and quite a talent to be able to sort of weave those in and it work so well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's he definitely captures the anime feel for sure. And back in this time period, anime is kind of just getting really big in the West. So I think that's probably one of the reasons I attached myself to it as much as I did. It had just such a comic book anime aesthetic going for it. And I think a lot of that is really just the eye of detail that Del Toro has.
Yeah. I also like this. There's a quote from Del Toro I really like. We're talking about Wesley Snipes. He says, Wesley knows Blade better than David Goyer, better than me, better than anyone else involved in the franchise. He instinctively knows what the character would and wouldn't do, and every time he twists something around, something better would come out. So Snipes was really delivering and really invested in this from the sound of it and made it, what it is. Again, super cool. Cool film. Super cool Blade, I should say. Weirdly, I was just looking at critical response. I only got 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is weird.
Really?
I find that really odd.
That blows my mind, man.
And Metacritic, it says Metacritic, it's got a weighted average of 52 out of 100.
Wow. Weird.
28 critics, it's got mixed or average reviews.
That's really weird to me.
Find that really hard to believe. Let me see what it is on IMDb, because I feel like someone needs a bit of vindication here. I accidentally typed in Blade 22 and I've got a load of knives on my screen for some reason. So on Blade 2, I'm going to guess 75% or something like that. 6.7, still not as high as I thought it would be. 6.7 out of 10.
That's crazy.
Sound right.
I mean,
right
it definitely made plenty of money back, though. Despite, I guess, the reviews had a little bit of a higher budget at $54 million and made $155 million. So, did very well. And like I said, I know a lot of people were waiting for this film to come out. Myself included. I was there day one, so obviously, it has a huge following.
Yes. Right. Okay. Any particular scenes we haven't talked about you want to mention, or should we get on to?
Oh man, I mean, I think they're all the scenes are just so good. Like, just beautifully well done. The action is beautifully well done. So I think we've covered it pretty well, Mark.
I have to say, the special effects really good in terms of the action of the vampires, but they were really good in the first one. It was one of the areas the CGI worked really well, in fact. I didn't mention that about the first one, but so that continues to work. Let's get on to Blade Trinity.
I have to ask you a couple of questions. What can you tell me about vampires?
They exist.
Blade.
First, he faced their gods. Then he battled their demons. But all that was only the beginning.
He's come back.
Vampire final solution.
You can't win this war alone.
Who the hell are you people?
My father meant for us to help you.
Whistler's daughter. What the hell makes you think you know about hunting vampires?
Just for starters, I used to be one.
Blade Trinity.
There's nothing stopping them now.
There's me.
This was made 2 years later. Now, this had issues because Wesley Snipes was not happy in any way of the trajectory of this one, which is weird because he's a producer. You think he'd have some sway. He thought Blade wasn't treated seriously, and apparently he'd often stay in his trailer when he was supposed to be out shooting. So the director had to do things like body doubles and use CG to try and make certain things work. I couldn't tell from this film. I couldn't tell if there was a body double used at all. It all worked perfectly for me.
I couldn't tell the body double either. I will say right out of the gate, I think the action in this one is how can I say this nicely? It's very poor compared to the other two.
Yeah, it's more in the edit, isn't it, than in the choreography. If
that's
you know what I mean.
That's
However,
a lot
I
of
still really liked it. I still really enjoyed it. I like the new character. What do you think of the new? Did you like Hannibal King? Did you like Whistler's daughter? What did you think of her?
I think Hannibal King and Whistler's daughter are certainly the two standouts for me. At the time when I first saw this in theaters, I didn't even like them. But now, again, kind of looking back on what was going on, I think Ryan Reynolds was sort of trying to do the best he could given the circumstances. And same with Jessica Biel as Whistler's daughter. I think she was also trying to kind of do the best she could given, a bad situation.
Yeah, Brian Reynolds was really the talker, wasn't he? Right?
He was, yeah.
Blade barely talked. He did talk, but barely. And Abigail Whistler, very little dialogue for her. She was. But having said that, Jessica Biel really delivered in terms of the action here. She looked the part. She acted the part. She could choreograph. She did look like she knew how to fight in the bits. There were a couple of really good, well choreographed bits. I thought, like for example, where she first gets attacked by the gang of vampires, thinking she's like a bag lady.
Yeah, I do think that was good. Yeah. It's weird because that part looks good, but then like later on in like the big final action scene when they're doing like some martial arts stuff, it looks really, really bad. But I feel like particularly when she's like shooting an arrow and stuff like that, she does look the part, and apparently she did a lot of training for the shooting of the bows and stuff, and she could like actually like pretty much hit any target. So she really like nailed it there.
Oh wow,
that's
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. In fact, that one scene where you see her shoot the bow and the arrow is coming towards the camera, the arrow actually like hit the camera when she shot. So
wow,
So I mean, I think she was good. I think maybe I don't know what happened with the final scene there with her. I think she was doing, like I said, I think she was doing the best she could given a bad situation.
Yeah. I like some of the other cast too. James Remar was in this, a bit underused as the FBI guy. James Remar's really good. I mean, he's always been good ever since he was Ajax in The Warriors, right? He's always very kind of. Also, get a very young Patton Oswalt. It's kind of interesting to see as the nerdy, create stuff kind of guy. It was that kind of guy, wasn't he? Kind of. But my favourite of all of this casting was probably Parker Posey as Danica. I thought she was awesome. Actually,
yeah. I love the vampire hairdo. Yeah. Her interactions with Ryan Reynolds, right,
was amazing. And some of the language, man.
Oh my god,
cannot repeat.
No, we'll keep this somewhat of a family show.
Wow.
Oh man, he definitely. That's why I'm like, this is where Deadpool was born. Essentially, I feel like if you like Deadpool and the kind of a lot of maybe the sophomoric humor in that film, you'll enjoy his character.
Yeah, Hannibal King. Yeah,
exactly. At the time, I didn't like it at all.
Now I can totally understand why people don't like this film because of that character. Because he is kind of, you like him or hate him, and he does babble, and that's his thing. Though that's his thing. That's what he does.
Yeah,
but I feel like you if you liked Deadpool, you like this, like you already said.
Yeah.
If you don't like Deadpool, you're not gonna like him in this at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, he's trying to make the best out of a real bad, tough situation, and the crew's just trying to, like, from what I understand, trying to film stuff, and they're like, all right, let's just try to ad lib this so we can try to get something here to make a movie. Because I've heard, some cast members talk about it, and they've said like it's a miracle this got made in any form at
together,
all. Apparently, people would crew members would walk by Wesley Snipes' trailer, and it just like smelled like a huge thing of weed. So
he just stayed in his trailer for a lot of it. So I think it's quite impressive, given that you find out that about it. Actually.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. I do wonder. I've heard varying stories as to why Wesley Snipes and the director didn't get along. I don't know what's true and what's not. It seems like one of those things where you can believe whatever story you want. But whatever the case, the Wesley Snipes and the director are no longer friends, whereas previously they were apparently pretty close. So I kind of wonder, man, what happened?
Something happened, right. I will also mention there was another vampire character, and I didn't know this, Triple H as a character called Joker. I didn't know he's an American wrestler, right?
Oh, huge, multiple-time world champion.
And now he had a lot of charisma and stuff. Now I can understand why, because it's for wrestling. You got to have that presence and stuff to be a successful wrestler, right?
Oh yeah, huge, mostly heel or bad guy for those who don't know wrestling jargon, but a bad guy throughout most of his wrestling career.
Oh, okay.
One of the probably the most hated heels of all time.
Really?
And
Really?
actually, believe it or not, now he pretty much runs day-to-day operations within WWE. It's now owned by TKO, the same people who own UFC. But that's going way off track here. I'm a big wrestling fan. But I thought they did good with him. Mark, what did you think? Far as
I know it was good. It was good. Again, antagonism with Hannibal King antagonized everyone pretty much, right?
Oh, he did. He's very good at that.
Abigail was fine with him, but he antagonized Blade. He antagonized the vampires. He antagonized everyone.
Indeed.
And there is a funny scene. It's like that's got to be meta, where he goes to Abigail. He's talking to Blade, and Blade just walks off, and he goes to Abigail. He just hates me, doesn't he?
Oh man, yeah. It had to be true at the time, right? I like how Blade is. He makes a speech like saying, "Yeah, you guys are kids," like essentially, like what are you doing here? And in many ways, I feel like that speech. I'm paraphrasing here, but that speech is sort of how us as moviegoers felt at the time in the theater, because like we had been so excited, like, oh, they're doing another Blade film, yes, and then you get there and you got your popcorn and you're all excited. I remember my brother and I were sitting there just and our friend is with us, who we've hyped this movie up to. We've shown him the first two, so he's ready too, and we're like, all right, you're gonna see something special, and then we're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Well, mate, also, I got to pick up, right, Wesley Snipes was not happy with the comedy the way Blade was going. However, he does comedy in this, right? He definitely does comedy. There's one point, he's looking super serious, I think at a vampire, and then he just does a little grin.
He does.
Great little grin.
Yeah.
There's another point where Dracula, well, we haven't got to Dracula, but Dracula's threatening not, basically keeping Blade away because he's holding a baby. But Blade manages to get the baby, and he looks at the baby and he goes, "Could you go?" That's funny, right? That is funny.
Yes, that part is funny.
But Wesley Snipes was not adverse. Yeah, he was not adverse to it, right? But something must have changed his mind. Yeah. I assume those were done in the early days of the shoot. I reckon.
I would think so. There was always a little bit of comedy in the Blade films. I feel like it was done really well in the first two, to where it was funny, but it didn't insult the audience, I guess, if you will. Like, I don't know, man. It's just so weird in this one. Strange.
No, I didn't think it was that weird. I thought it was, considering the issues we've read about.
Right. When you consider
actually
that.
Very good, actually, compared to what. And I assume we were going to get, because these, basically, Ryan Reynolds as Hannibal King, Abigail Whistler, were called, what are they called? The Night
Stalkers. Yeah, I like the name.
I assumed there was going to be some sort of spin-off with them, or that was the intention.
There was actually. If there was, I know a lot about this film. So the intention was, if the film was successful, they were going to do a spin-off film or television series. But since the film was not successful, that didn't happen. Although I say it wasn't successful, but like, I guess since it was critically not successful, but it did make a lot of money. If you look at the budget again, like $65 million budget. So again, a little bit of a step up from the last one, and it made $132 million in box office, and a lot of that I think is because Blade 1 and 2 were so big. So commercially successful, but really critically panned. But I do think it would have been a very kind of interesting spinoff to see the Night Stalkers doing.
I quite like the music in this one too. They did a really cool version, a rap version, basically riffing on what was it? Lou Reed's band. I can't remember. I'm kicking myself. Basically, Venus in Furs. There's a song called Venus in Furs from the late 60s. It's a really cool song. And they basically use that as a backbeat. It's where Dracula's walking out around the city and goes into that shop. The music's really cool. Well, anyway,
I like it
let's
too.
talk about
I
Dracula.
like the music too. Yeah, let's get into Dracula.
Right, I don't mind him now, but at the time I thought it was awful. That was the weakest bit of the whole film. Because I didn't think he had any charisma. Rewatching it, I can see he's got some charisma, right? But what they needed is a really good actor here, right?
Exactly.
With real presence. That's what they needed. Someone like Christopher Lee, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know. Like, I do think he's better now than he was at the time for me. But
indeed,
you know, like to me, he just looks like such a kind of a model type,
a skin job. Like, it's a skin job, right?
Yes,
that was the trouble.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't think the guy had that many credits to his name, so maybe that's some of the problem. I don't really know who thought this was a good idea.
You know who could have done this all day?
Who's that?
Clancy Brown.
There you go. Can
you imagine him do it? That would have elevated this film somewhat.
I would have loved it. Yeah. It would have been great.
Like basically doing the Kurgan, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been so much better.
I like the rest of the cast, but that was just this is a bit stupid.
I remember
they would have had to keep Dracula as a much more supernatural being, not going into a goth shop and smashing the place up because he didn't like how they used Dracula. Right?
Although I do like that scene.
It is funny. It is funny.
Yeah, and I mean, goth culture was very popular at the time. This is pre-emo culture, if you will. And
another thing about this actor, he's not threatening. Clancy Brown is threatening.
Right.
He can be threatening. There's a number of actors who could have done this, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
But I think this was that casting was just didn't work in the film's favour. And it's amazing they got so many other really quite good choices. Again, a bit James Remar, bit underused, right?
Oh, I agree.
Oswald, who was young, all right, so fair enough, he wouldn't get that much screen time. However, Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, to me, were really good casting.
I think I mean, they're very young in this, but I think they are certainly the best parts of this film.
Yeah, and I like Triple H. He's quite memorable.
Yeah, he's the heavy, right?
Yeah, he's kind of a reprise of a very similar character we got in 2. There was a very similar character to do, but I think Triple H is better in that as that character than the guy in 2 doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah,
but he's just got more presence, and I just like how angry he'd get with Hannibal and stuff like that. It's just funny.
I did too. Yeah, I mean the kind of the dynamic there is funny, and you know, I don't know if he was world champion at the time, but I mean, he would have probably been, you know, flying in to do these scenes and then right back to the ring, because back then the schedule was so crazy. This is still like Attitude Era, or at least the tail. Yeah, this would have still been quote unquote the Attitude Era in WWE, which is like, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin era, like basically the biggest era in wrestling history. So, you know, he was a big part of that, and so it's crazy he had time in his schedule to do this and do it well. You know, I'm actually kind of surprised he hasn't done more acting since this.
He could definitely act. There was no doubt about that. He could definitely act. There was no like stiltedness at all in his performance. It was great.
I enjoyed him a lot in this.
I also thought Jessica Biel sort of proved herself quite a good action star if she wanted to do that sort of thing. I don't think she hasn't done any other actiony kind of stuff, but she was very, very good in this. Physically, she looked like she knew exactly what she was doing in the fights, in the arrow, you know, firing the arrows. There was one bit that does make me roll my eyes where she says, Hannibal goes, "I can't fire around corners," and she says, "I can," and deliberately bounces an arrow off a wall. It's like, but there was lots of cheesy things that did make me laugh, like, you know, the Pomeranian vampire dog, that sort of stuff.
Oh my gosh, I was like, what are they doing? I think the tone is a lot of the problem in this. Where, you know, I mean, the first
just shift tone all the time. Yes,
definitely. And you know, the first 2. Like I said, they could have like some comedy, maybe more, you call it dark comedy, right? But it's in the first 2 films. This, it just comes off kind of like what I call like sci-fi original movies, you know, where it's like just bad comedy.
It's just, there's bits in it that just made me laugh, you know, or maybe smile. The fact that big old vampire's got a Pomeranian that he loves and something.
Which is it's funny because there's actually sort of a similar story that they used in WWE at the time when he went up against Chris
Maybe it's
Jericho at
referencing
WrestleMania.
that.
I've always wondered, like, were they referencing that? I'm not sure. Maybe so. We got to mention Whistler in this again, though, and kind of how they how can I say now? I mean, I guess obviously the film's like what 20 years old, so getting into spoilers, but how they kill him off in this is so underdone. So like I feel like it's just such a missed opportunity because essentially the FBI comes in, right? Because they've framed Blade for this crime. They made him think he was shooting at a vampire. He kills a human. But anyway, the FBI raids their place on the docks, and essentially Whistler dies. Right, he gets shot, and then blows the place up and tells Blade, get out. And it just feels like so needless to me. And I know, I mean, obviously, in real life, it's not always going to be dramatic or anything, but in a movie, you want that major drama, especially for two characters like Blade and Whistler. And again, maybe we didn't get that because of the tension going on, which is probably the case.
And they did what they could, maybe, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But oh man, I just thought, really, like when Whistler died, like this is how they're gonna have him go out. But that's it. so it's a shame.
I did like the way Janko went out, where Hannibal kind of basically flamed him, and he just fell back through like slats. And you see his body come to fall through this, just become sectioned as his skeleton, he's burning up and falling through the back. That was kind of cool.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I think I like this film better than you, but the misstep for me was Dracula. But you know what? I still really enjoyed this film. I had a good time. And would definitely watch it. In fact, you know what? I think this might be the one I've watched the most.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I had it on DVD and didn't have the others, so I just would occasionally watch it more. But it's close. I may have watched the others 5 times each and this one 8 times or something like that. I feel like it's kind of that sort of numbers for me. So I have watched this trilogy quite a lot. But I do forget elements of it, I do forget elements of it when I
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I haven't watched it for 10 years, though.
I mean, it's
something like that.
Yeah, this one in particular, it had been a long time. Like, actually, I think this is probably the first time I've seen it since watching it in the theater when it first came out. So, many years. And I guess I kind of hoped it would maybe hold up a little better for me. And I think maybe it did slightly. But yeah, I think you definitely prefer it a lot more than I do, particularly compared to the first two. But I was such a Blade fanboy and still am, in many regards.
I was. I don't know if I think you've seen the episode in What We Do in the Shadows where they have all these actors who used to be vampires come on to be the vampire cabal, but in plain, the idea is that they are really vampires, but they do it in plain sight by being actors.
Oh yeah, vampires.
And then they have Wesley Snipes turn up on the internet because he's not allowed to leave the country or something, and the internet connection is terrible. So he's on a little screen and saying, "Yes, Wesley, please turn it off." That was really funny. That really made me laugh.
Wesley Snipes
was game to do that, and then of course him turning up in Deadpool Wolverine. That was awesome.
What a wonderful surprise.
And that and Elektra, because I'm one of the few people I know that actually like the Elektra film, right? A lot of people hate that film.
Oh, I don't hate that one.
No, a lot of people. So it's kind of cool to see those two turn up and a few others turn up as like the original. I can't remember the story now, but they're like the original ones in this place, aren't they?
Indeed. It was
Chris
really
Evans
cool
as well. But yeah, it was a real pleasure to see that Snipes really enjoyed that shoot and complimenting Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
I thought so too.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it definitely. But I know that
Wesley Snipes has had he's had a lot of problems with tax, hasn't he? So
he has. He's been He went to jail. He went to jail over it actually for.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Wow.
I think 3 or 4 years he was in jail because of that. Of course, he's out
Wow.
now and working some again. But yeah, I don't know the specifics of what happened. Whether it was tax evasion or what. But yeah, I mean, and here, whew, if you don't pay taxes, you can definitely get in big trouble. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
didn't
glad.
realize that seems
Yeah,
madness.
glad he's.
Basically, shouldn't you allow an actor to keep working and dock their salary? But I guess the tax system's different in the US.
That's what you would think, in my opinion. I don't know. It's very weird. Willie Nelson, who's another famous country singer that's worked with Christopherson a lot in the past. He had tax problems too, and he didn't go to jail, but essentially people would like joke that he was still touring because he had to pay all these back taxes. So I don't know why Wesley Snipes was not kind of maybe given the same chance. I don't know. I'm sure we could look into it if we wanted, but I don't know. It's not that big a deal, I don't think. I'm glad he's out and working again, and I'm really glad, as we mentioned, that he was able to reprise the Blade character. If that's the last time, I'm happy. I would love it, absolutely love it, if they did a proper, like, kind of, they did old Logan. We need an old Blade send off, in my opinion.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be so awesome. Good. Yeah. Honestly, rather than do a
well, I was hoping Morbius might actually be decent when I heard about it.
Me too.
Because if Morbius was really good, mind you, I think Morbius was Sony, wasn't it? Didn't they have the rights to it? I can't remember.
Was, yeah. Sony.
There's a good chance if Morbius had been a really good film that did well, they could bring Blade into that, right? Because that Blade's part of that thing, right?
Right.
As well.
Exactly.
So yeah,
that's what I was hoping too. But
right.
it didn't happen.
Yeah. We got some feedback. Should we rate these and then get to the feedback? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that. Do you want to go first?
You go first. You go first.
All right.
I'm kind of interested to see how they compare for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, for Blade 1, man, I love that film. And, a lot of nostalgia here. So I'm trying to put my fanboy goggles away here. But, I would be at a very, very solid 4 out of 5 for this. I love Blade 1.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
For Blade 2, I really, I know a lot of people will disagree with this, but even with, taking the fanboy glasses or goggles off, I'd still give this a 5 out of 5. I think it's really, really, really good even now. In fact, I hadn't seen it in a number of years, so I was really I was surprised by just how much I enjoyed watching it again. I was like, man, yeah, this still totally holds up for me. So I love it. And then the third one, man, the third one is a very different story for me, Mark. I think I do like it better than I did upon first watch, but not by much. As we've kind of talked about all the problems, really bad Dracula, but I don't think it's like wholly unwatchable, right? Like I think it still has bits in there that are good. I think Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel are very good, as we mentioned, and the supporting cast is good. I think it's a shame the drama surrounding this film, which in many ways, when the backstory, makes the film kind of an interesting watch. But just rating it as a fan, I'm gonna give it a 1.5. And
whoa, it's gone through the floor, that one.
I know.
Okay.
But like I say, I don't think it's totally unwatched. Like, I've seen worse than this. I think the photography is competent. It's a real shame, in my opinion, given the first two and how great those are, and to go from that to the third. But again, I'm happy to have watched it again after so long, and it's not the worst movie I've ever seen by any means. I've seen far worse. So how about you, Mark? What would you rate these?
In some ways similar to you, in others not. I think Blade's an excellent action film. I really enjoyed it, so I would give it the same as you. I give it a 4 out of 5. Blade 2 is a step up, and it's quite impressive because Blade is so good, it's hard to imagine how it can be kind of, how can you improve this? Just do more of the same, maybe. And that's not what happens. I'll say that. Del Toro does more of the same, but he also improves. He makes that great stuff even better by, a certain eye, a certain edit, a certain way of doing it. He just makes it slightly better. He slightly improves on Norrington here, but Norrington's really good too. I would give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Very good.
Now, when we come to Blade Trinity, I've always liked this film. I'll admit it. I always liked it. The only weak points for me, really, actually, I appreciate what you said about some of the action pieces, but no, I still really enjoyed this film. The weak points for me are Dracula. Really, that's really what it comes down to. I just thought that was not well thought out or done. I quite like the fight at the end and stuff like that. And I don't even mind the scenes. The writing is okay. It's just I think they cast the wrong person for that role. They needed someone with maybe more presence and intimidating factor. So because Blade never gets intimidated by this character, I feel like that he should have been. They should have had someone who could have sort of slightly made him think about what he was doing.
You mentioned that, and I just want to cut in real quick here and mention.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't, no disrespect, but I just want to mention here. One of the things that has always bothered me, just expanding upon your point here, is like when Blade first meets Dracula. Dracula not only runs away from Blade, which I feel like makes him
that's terrible.
Yeah, it makes him look so weak. But he also grabs a baby needlessly, and then they have that chat on the rooftop. And then, he throws the baby. But I was always like, okay, what was the point of Dracula grabbing a baby? I guess
it should have been. If we'd have written it, it would have been Dracula would have overawed Blade,
right?
Right. So, just beasted him. So Blade would have had to done a bit more training or some sort of montagey thing to I've got to do this.
Exactly.
Clever, smart, not just brute force or something like that. There was some issues around that. Yeah. You are absolutely right. That was awful. Why is Dracula running away from anyone here?
Yeah,
and they do mention that in the novel he can walk in day because he can.
Indeed,
right?
indeed.
But this is not the same mythology, really, so it didn't really need to come in. However, I do appreciate he was a daywalker, and that made sense to me, but you're quite right. That was an awful one. There was one other scene that always makes me cringe, and it's not as long as I remember it, but I remember when I went to see this at the cinema, and I remember cringing, which is when Abigail starts making her playlist. It's like, why have we got a scene of her making a playlist? That is stupid.
I remember that too.
But having said all that, I really like this film. I really enjoy it. And I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Nice. Yeah, very difference in our ratings there. I'm glad you like it more than I do. I'm really
appreciate
glad.
it because it still delivers for me, even despite its problems. Right.
Yeah.
We do have a bit of feedback.
Awesome.
I think I need to read this feedback because the question I ask is being answered, so it makes sense to sort of put the question. And I said, we are covering the Blade Trilogy. Any thoughts on this? Am I alone in loving Blade Trinity? Here you go, setting up. What's your favourite of the 3? That's what I said. And we got one piece of feedback from Kevin Matthews, friend of the show. Our number, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Always appreciate your feedback.
Thank you for always contributing. We really do appreciate you, Kevin.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. And what he said here, his answer is, it's certainly a case of some diminishing returns, but I find enough to enjoy it in Blade Trinity, not least because it includes one of the best on-screen insults of all time, which we've alluded to, but we're not going to repeat here.
Indeed.
Yeah, Hannibal King says something that is like, it's almost jaw-droppingly rude.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, man.
Whoa. I'm glad I'm not sitting with someone young in this while I'm watching this.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it goes on to say, I used to love Blade 2 the most. Here we go. I used to love Blade 2 the most, thanks to the Del Toro creature design and the great action. Even if one main sequence ripped off the Mark Damascus action movie Drive, but the OG is almost flawless. And what an opening sequence, that tune, the visuals. And he's talking about the first film here,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And what an opening
absolutely.
sequence. That tune, the visuals, and one of the all-time hero entrances, all before it breaks into some astonishing action soundtrack by another top tune. His ratings here are 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. So he rates Blade higher than Blade 2. I can't argue with that personally.
I can't either. I mean, the first one is a masterpiece as well.
Yeah, it's a bit like our discussion of where do you put Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
Coming to that.
It's so hard when you get films that are just both of that quality. And
just different. I mean, Alien and Aliens has that issue.
It does.
And Terminator 2 has that issue, and so on.
Yeah, and I feel like my rating often, I kind of go back and forth on films like that, like Alien and Aliens, or Frankenstein and Bride, It's like on a particular day, I may feel like, man, one is better than the other, And the same is probably true of Blade 1 and 2 for me. Like, I really enjoy both a lot.
Yeah, me too. I highly recommend, it goes on to say, I highly recommend listening to the DVD commentary track for Blade Trinity 2. It's impossible to ignore what a troubled production it was when they somehow avoid discussing Snipes for the first half hour or so. So they don't even mention Wesley Snipes in the commentary track for the first half hour.
I'd kind of like to hear that commentary.
Yeah. So thank you, Kevin. I mean, I have older copies of these films, but I was kind of tempted to shell out and get the more recent Blu-ray set because it's not very expensive, and I was kind of, I'd like to have a coherent set for these.
You know what?
I did it in the end, but man, it was tempting.
Now that you mention it, now I got to go to Amazon and add that to my wish list. Because I would like to have the Blu-ray upgrades, if you will. I don't know if they're available in 4K yet.
So, do you think next time you'll also do Blade Trinity, or just the first two?
I'll watch it again for sure. I mean, like I say, I've seen far worse than this. It's, a lot of my rating is kind of a reflection on the fact that I like Blade 1 and 2 so much.
I'll tell you what. Next time you watch Blade Trinity, try and imagine. That's not that actor. That's Christopher Lee. And see if it helps.
Yeah. Put Christopher Lee there. I mean, someone could probably do it now, right? They could take CGI.
You'd have to cut the bit where Dracula just runs away, though. It just does not work.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee.
We can do the UNH cut of Blade Trinity.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
That would be fun.
Yeah, so, okay, I think that kind of winds us out. We've had a very enjoyable... Well, let's talk about... We don't usually do this, but let's talk about what we're thinking about covering next time, because it is a Christmas one. Right?
Yeah.
We did sort of decide. We're going to cover a film we've not covered, and it's getting harder and harder, right? Because we covered quite a lot of Christmas stuff now.
We really have. We always have our Christmas episode, and it seems like people really like those. So
yeah, but we're going to go with something a bit goofy, but still horror, right?
Yeah.
We're going to go with Jack Frost.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about the Michael Keaton one. We're talking about the horror one. I think they kind of came out about the same time, didn't they, as well?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so let me just look up the Jack. So we're absolutely clear which one we're talking about. We are talking about... Oh, my goodness, there's lots of Jack Frost movies.
Really?
That's weird.
I
One
didn't
of
know
the
that.
Santa Claus is a Jack Frost movie. Well, the Michael Keaton one is 1998.
1996, right? For this one?
Was that for the horror one? Was it 1996?
So. Oh, actually, Wikipedia says 97. So,
yeah, 96, 97. So they're very close, right? Very close. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's a few slightly troubling scenes in this, in the mod from younger eyes of this era will have a few problems with this one, perhaps. However, we're going to watch it in the spirit it was made, and it was made as meant to be a goofy fun. I'm pretty sure Joe Bob's covered it, right? I'm pretty sure he's covered it. If he hasn't, it's so last driving material.
Oh, gosh. I'm pretty sure it's been on there.
You know what? I might, if I can dig it out and we can get it, maybe we should use that. Discuss that and go full Joe Bob.
That'd be even more fun.
We'll see. It's going to be one. It's going to talk about the film, whatever. We're going to be talking.
Oh yeah, we love Joe Bob Briggs around here.
Yeah, we do.
Got to support Shudder, and we're not getting paid to say that. We just like Shudder.
I've got Shudder, so it should be good. Okay,
let's close it out here. And we want to thank everyone for listening and watching the Action Zone and the United Nations of Horror. Come join us on our Facebook community. We really do love to hear from you. And we're going to start posting. I'm making it a point to say it here, so I'm actually going to follow through with this. We're going to start posting a lot more horror movie news and horror movie trailers. I used to do some articles on there, so I'm going to be kind of doing that again. I really want to get our group going. And another thing that I'm just going to mention here, we're going to talk about it and plan it on the Facebook group, but I also want us to do some more kind of get together for where we can watch some maybe older movies. I'm not sure if we'll do it through a Twitch or YouTube or Discord or what, but we'll come together and be talking about that online. I think it'd be fun for everyone.
It would be fun.
Yeah, we used to do that a good bit during the COVID era.
Actually, you know what? I was thinking about this, and this is gonna be a disappointing ending because it'll be that. No, I'm not doing that. You remember in 2022, I actually tried to watch every horror film, and we did like a 2-hour odd episode where I talked about, I think, 50 odd horror films.
Yes, I do.
Watched about 10 of them, right? But I'd watched the rest. I was wondering, I wonder if I could do that again for 2025 because there's been some great horror. Anyway, I Googled it, looking into how many horror films have been made. 200 horror films in 2025.
That's crazy.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, man. That's nuts.
There's no way. No, that would take half a year just to prepare for, right?
It would, man.
No.
We're very blessed to have so much horror content now, but I cannot imagine watching that much horror. And we love horror here.
I think it took me 2 months to do the 50, right? 2 months of watching at least one and probably 2 a day. I did enjoy it, but 200 is like, forget it.
I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. As much as I love horror, you got to have some other stuff too.
Yeah.
But so again, come join us on our Facebook community. We're at facebook.com/groups/UN of Horror. And we are also, along with our audio version, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@United Nations of Horror, all one word. And of course, wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether it be Spotify or Apple Music, even Amazon, we're all over. So just go to any one of those services and type in United Nations of Horror, and you'll find us. So I'm looking forward to our Christmas episode, Mark. It's going to be fun.
This one in a few weeks.
Yeah, and this one was a lot of fun too. So thank you very much. Bye from me.
And bye from me.
And we will see you next time right here on the United Nations of Horror and the Action Zone.
United Nations of Horror is a podcast about all things horror. From thrillers of yesteryear to today's modern horror, we are here to present fun and intelligent conversation about the genre films we love. Join us and please help spread the word about the United Nations of Horror podcast and videocast to horror fans across the globe. Find the podcast on all fine podcasting services. Join us on Facebook by simply going to facebook.com and entering in United Nations of Horror. You can also find us on YouTube by going to youtube.com and searching for United Nations of Horror podcast.